Ahoy there, this is Chief Bones, and here's the scuttlebutt for today. Two bits of important information have been released by Wargaming regarding World of Warships today. One post, one note on the dev blog on Facebook, and then one release of patch notes. I'm going to go over the main points of the patch notes and the dev blog note here real quick. And let's start with the dev blog note. I'm not going to read this word for word, but I am going to point out the basic things they said. But here's the opening statement. Dear players, today we will talk about the improvement of the new gameplay of aircraft carriers. As already noted, with such a big change in the game, it has been necessary to apply some corrections over a few updates, and now we will share our plans for the foreseeable future, up to 0.8.4. Okay? Please remember that plans sometimes change. The more information below is preliminary. The time frame may move, and following your feedback and suggestions, some points may well be added a little later. And then there's this big, massive note, but I'm just going to give you the basic information. Balance changes, for one. They are now at the stage of adjusting the balance between the classes and focusing on addressing specific issues. The individual fine-tuning of the ships is out of the question for now. Number 2, some changes will affect the mechanics of the constant air defense damage. There's more info on that. Number 3, to solve the problems of F-spam, we significantly increased the period of vulnerability of aircraft when returning. So that keeps ships like the Hakuryu from doing their crazy uber torpedoing they have been doing. We received proposals to take into account the damage to aircraft in the combat economy, so that any contribution to the air defense team was evaluated. They're planning to add that, but that's coming at a later date when statistics have stabilized. 5. The priority air defense sector interface, as well as the information regarding plane readiness on the deck of the CV, will be reworked for more convenience and clarity. Number 6. We agree with the popular opinion that aircraft carriers have excessive capabilities to spot enemy ships, especially at the start of the battle. And this is something that I brought up in my first mention of the CV rework in my Don't Panic video. Number 7. The same can be said about the interaction of aircraft carriers and destroyers. Number 8. After collecting your comments, we will try to modify the autopilot so that its operation is more predictable and more convenient and reliable to use. Now, this is all preliminary ideas of what they want to do in the near future. But here are the patch notes, and we're going to read these out loud all the way through so that you can hear them, and I'm going to discuss a little bit about what I think about them. Captains, we are happy to announce the release of the 0.8.0.3 update for World of Warships. Due to the installation of the update, the server will be unavailable from Thursday, 21 February at 2 AM Pacific until 3 AM Pacific. Changelog update 0.8.0.3 will affect the interaction of carriers with destroyers, the fighter consumable, and the individual balance of some ships. Due to the good maneuverability and precise aiming, even when changing direction of attack aircraft are excessively effective against destroyers. The latter have almost no opportunities for counterplay, even with active maneuvering. Given the high speed, attack aircraft successfully repel destroyers from control points and, in the early stages of battle, force them to keep close to allies so as not to suffer from airborne attack. Taking into account the above factors, we have reduced the effectiveness of aircraft carriers against maneuvering destroyers, but at the same time preserved the main features of the planes. These changes will apply to attack aircraft of all carriers. Increased prep time for the attack, which will not allow instant attack on destroyers. Change the parameters of aiming. Now planes get a large aim penalty when changing their direction during an attack and will not be able to accurately shoot rockets when maneuvering. Maneuverability during the prep for the attack during the attack run is reduced, which will not allow attack aircraft to easily aim at a maneuvering destroyer if the approach of the attack was originally on the wrong vector. Thus, the destroyer, which actively maneuvers and takes into account in advance the attack vector of the squadron, will be able to successfully dodge the attack. The interaction of attack aircraft with ships that do not change their course or, due to their characteristics, cannot do it quickly enough, will remain at the same level. Visibility of all ships from the air is reduced by 20%. This will reduce the reconnaissance potential of CVs at the start of the battle and will help destroyers to remain undetected for a longer period, provided that their AA is turned off with the help of the P key. To improve the efficiency of the fighter consumable, we changed the settings. Now fighters quickly begin pursuing enemy squadrons in their area of influence. Also increase cruising speed, increase the number of aircraft called by consumable in the squadron from 2 to 3 to 4 to 3 to 5 to 7, respectively. I assume that's based on tier levels 4, 6, 8, or excuse me, 6, 8, and 10. 4s don't have fighters. We have also significantly reduced the hit points of fighters, which will emphasize their weakness against ships and low efficiency as an intelligence tool. In addition, the radius of patrolling fighters for squadrons has changed with tier progression. At tier 6 it has been reduced to 2.5 kilometers, tier 8 is unchanged, and at the tier 10 it is now 3.5 kilometers. Due to the excessive efficiency on account to the large number of torpedoes in the attack flight, the attacking potential of Midway's torpedo bombers is reduced. Their torpedoes have been replaced with weaker ones. The maximum damage is now 4,233 instead of 5,367, and the chance of flooding is reduced. Other parameters remain unchanged. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure how much I like the changes to the attack craft, okay? I love the idea of reduced visibility from the air. I think that's great. I think it's necessary. Nerfing the spotting capability of aircraft carriers is absolutely essential to early game. I do not believe, however, that forcing destroyers to change how they play was a bad thing, because a game's meta changes constantly, and as I mentioned in my Don't Panic video, when a new change comes in that ultimately alters the overall game experience, it is essential that people who play the game learn to adapt to this. I don't think it's right to say, well, this is the way the destroyers have been playing for ages, this is how they should always play, instead of saying, well, you know, cautious early gameplay by destroyers should not happen ever. I honestly like the changes to the way destroyers play. As a destroyer main myself, I like the idea of not having that coin flip of just absolute early decimation when contesting a cap. I like the interplay of, okay, well, we know there's a carrier coming, he's got rockets inbound, I should probably hang back a little bit, and okay, now the planes are going that way, I should go this way, and maybe I can flank around. Downside to this change with the rockets, though, and the detectability, though, is that a flanking destroyer can more easily just destroy a carrier that is doing its own thing, which is a problem in and of itself. Granted, that is basically the way it's always been, but I think that's something that should be looked at again in the future. Rockets changing how they hit. It has been my experience thus far in carriers from the American line 4 through 10, plus the Premium Enterprise and the Japanese carrier Tier 4 and the Tier 8 Kaga, that rockets are kind of hit or miss, right? They're feast or famine. They can either all smash you and cause serious amounts of damage, or they can all miss and do next to nothing, even if you've flown all the way across the map. And the way I see it, a destroyer that gets caught in the line of fire of a light cruiser is going to take massive damage very quickly. And it can escape, and it can continue to be immensely effective with very little health, or it can be absolutely wiped off the map. And I don't think that nerfing carriers should be done in this way. I think carriers should be able to have an effective counter against destroyers, especially if those destroyers are coming in to sink the carrier in the back line, or along the sides, or wherever that carrier may be. I'm going to reserve my ultimate judgment on how this changes carrier gameplay and destroyer gameplay until it goes live tomorrow, as of the time of this recording. But we shall have to see how that goes. Continuing. Changes that have affected the Premium Aircraft Carrier Enterprise. Now this one's important to me because my favorite carrier in the game right now is the Enterprise. Bombers in all respects have become similar to the SB-2C Helldiver bombers found on aircraft carrier Lexington, but they still carry AP bombs. This change will increase the survivability of the squadron. I like this. Bombers tend to get shot out of the sky very easily from the Enterprise. Reduced torpedo aiming time. The torpedo aiming is now similar to the TBF Avenger torpedo bombers of the aircraft carrier Lexington. Previously, the torpedo aiming reticle was tightened slowly, but the penalty for maneuvering was lower. Now the aiming will be faster, but the penalty for maneuvering will be higher. Thus, when it's the right time to attack, the torpedo bombers will be able to drop their torpedoes more quickly and accurately. I don't like this change. I kind of like... First of all, I like there to be differences between same tier carriers, premium versus tech tree. I don't just want a premium Lexington, is what I'm saying. I like the differences. I like how the torpedoes handle for the Enterprise. But maybe that's just me. It just took me some time to learn them, and I don't mind their slow aiming. But, yeah, whatever. Replenishment of attack aircraft on the deck has been accelerated, allowing for faster compensation for the loss of aircraft in battle. If they're talking about attack aircraft as in rocket planes, that may not necessarily be necessary. They already replenish pretty quickly. If they're talking about all planes, then like an average overall plane recovery buff, then I'm okay with that. But I don't know how I like... in the Enterprise, my primary source of damage is rockets. The Corsairs are really, really nice, and I like their weapons, and I like their overall play style, and I just don't see a whole lot of nerfing to be necessary. Okay, so other changes. Fixed an incorrect cooldown for consumable DFAA-2 on destroyers. It's now lower than the DFAA-1. Reduced the size of bomber squadrons for British aircraft carriers and increased fall time of the bombs. Due to the specifics of dropping bombs, British aircraft were too effective compared to other bombers. These changes will allow them to retain their features, but will lead to a more balanced damage output. Changed number of attack aircraft in the attack flight for the base plane module of the aircraft carrier Furious, and for the attack aircraft on the aircraft carrier Indomitable. Now there are 2 planes instead of 3 in the attack flight, which will make 3 attacks possible in one squadron instead of 2. Fixed a bug that caused the guns of the ship Huang He to be displayed as floating in the air when special Lunar New Year camouflage was equipped. I haven't come across that, but that'd be kind of funny. February 23rd, the port of St. Petersburg will be decorated to celebrate the Defender of the Fatherland Day. Its appearance will remain festive until the release of Update 0.8.1. And there you have it, folks. That is the changelog that is coming in tomorrow's hotfix.